This story is not meant to be rushed, not meant to be consumed quickly or forgotten easily. It is meant to unfold slowly, the way night does when you are awake longer than you should be, when every sound feels closer, heavier, more personal, and when silence itself starts to feel like it is waiting for something. This is the kind of story that grows, line by line, thought by thought, until you are no longer sure where the story ends and your own fear begins. It was a little before midnight when I first heard it, a simple sound, ordinary on the surface, yet deeply unsettling in the way it arrived. 3 slow knocks on the wooden door of my apartment, not loud enough to sound urgent, not soft enough to be accidental, perfectly measured, perfectly calm, as if whoever was knocking understood patience better than most humans ever do. I remember freezing where I stood, remote in my hand, the television murmuring quietly in the background, my mind instantly trying to find a logical explanation before fear could take shape. I checked the clock on the wall without moving my feet. 11:58 p.m. A time that felt wrong for visitors. A time that belonged to people returning home late or thoughts that refused to sleep, not to knocks on doors. I waited, listening for footsteps in the hallway, for voices, for any sign that this was a normal interaction. But there was nothing, only the faint hum of the building and the distant sound of traffic far below. After a few seconds, I convinced myself it had been someone at the wrong apartment, something easily explained. Something not worth the tension building in my chest. I took a step toward the living room, and that was when the second knock came. Louder, firmer, still slow, each tap landing with intention. And this time there was no mistaking it. It was my door, my space, my name being called without words. My heart began to beat faster, not violently, but steadily, like it was preparing for something it could not yet see. I approached the door carefully and looked through the peephole, half expecting to see a neighbor, a stranger, anyone at all, but the hallway was empty, stretching out in both directions under flickering yellow lights, completely still. I asked who it was, keeping my voice casual, controlled, pretending I felt normal, pretending I had not noticed how quiet the building suddenly felt. But there was no response. Not even the sound of someone walking away. The silence that followed was heavy, uncomfortable, the kind that presses against your ears and makes you aware of your own breathing. I locked the door again, even though it already was, and told myself firmly that unanswered knocks happen, that not everything needs an explanation. At exactly midnight, as the clock chimed softly in the living room, the third knock came. 3 taps again, perfectly spaced, perfectly patient, and something about the timing made my stomach tighten in a way I could not ignore. Midnight feels symbolic even to people who claim they do not believe in such things. A line between one day and the next, between what is known and what is not. This time, I did not speak. I did not move. I simply stood there, listening, feeling the seconds stretch longer than they should have. Eventually, the knocking stopped. Not fading, not retreating, simply ending, leaving behind a sense of incompleteness, like a conversation cut off mid-sentence. I slept poorly that night, waking at every sound, checking the door more than once, replaying the knocks in my head until they felt almost familiar. Morning arrived quietly, sunlight filling the apartment and making the fear feel foolish, exaggerated, like something that belonged to a dream rather than reality. For several nights after that, nothing happened, and that silence became its own kind of tension, because part of me waited for the sound to return, waited for an explanation that never came. I began to relax again, slowly, cautiously, until the 5th night, when I was just beginning to drift into sleep, and I heard a single, soft knock, not on the door, but from the wall behind my bed. The sound was unmistakable, deliberate, and far too close. I sat up slowly, staring at the wall, my heart pounding so loudly it felt like it might drown out any sound that followed. I told myself it was the building settling, pipes shifting, any explanation that did not involve intention. But none of those explanations knock. Not like that. not with purpose. The knock came again, then a third time, and with each one came a growing certainty that whatever was making the sound knew exactly where I was, knew that I was listening. From that night on, the knocks became part of my routine, appearing late at night, always in sets of 3, always slow and controlled, moving gradually through the apartment, as if mapping it, learning it. One night it came from the closet door, another from the bathroom, another from the kitchen wall, and every time I listened, frozen, afraid to respond, afraid to ignore it, afraid of what either choice might mean. I stopped inviting people over, stopped sleeping properly, stopped feeling at home in my own space, because every room felt temporary, borrowed, as if something else was slowly claiming it. Weeks passed, or maybe only days. Time became difficult to measure, and on the final night, the knock came from the inside of my bedroom door, even though I had locked it, even though I was sitting on the bed watching the handle without blinking. 3 knocks, closer than ever, followed by something worse. A voice, quiet and patient, speaking my name the way someone does when they are standing just behind you. It asked if I was ready, not threatening, not angry, simply certain. I do not remember answering, but I know the knocking stopped after that, permanently, and when morning came, the apartment was empty, the door still locked from the inside. No signs of struggle, no explanation. Only one detail written carefully in the report. 3 fresh marks on the inside of the front door, perfectly spaced, as if someone had knocked from the wrong side, making sure no one would ever open it again. Some people believe a knock is an invitation, a request to be acknowledged, but they are wrong, because sometimes a knock is not asking to come in. Sometimes it is counting down, and when you hear the last knock, it is already too late.